Welcome back once again for another episode of Keeping It Real, as in keeping it real estate, with the real deal. One person that really knows what's going on out there, and all the other people who are really doing it. Like our guest today, we've got Rosanne Nitti. Hey, Rosanne.
Hi, Paul. Good afternoon. Welcome. It's nice to be here.
You being a who's who of people really out there doing it, not people just talking about it. They're really doing it, like this guest here today.
We're doing it. My guest today, I'm honored to have Nick Verducci. Hi, Nick.
Rosanne, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's a pleasure.
Although we just met, I've read your book over the last 24 hours, and I've enjoyed it. And the title of the book is Seven-Figure Decisions.
That's right.
And I get it. And there's a story in the book that led you to that. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
Sure.
But first, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, about myself, I've been married 25 years. I got 3 daughters, and I grew up out here in Orange County, California. So I was born back east in Chicago, but grew up out here, and I evolved into eventually a real estate investor, professional real estate investor. Is a long story to that. You read it in the book, I think. And I've been doing that, and then about 4 years ago, I created a training company of myself. I teach people how to invest in real estate.
That's awesome.
That's what I've been doing.
That's really cool. As a production coach, and I teach new agents who don't know what they're doing, or maybe have some working knowledge. It's really important for people to know what they're doing. And I've been to some of these real estate investing seminars or seen them on late night TV.
I bet.
So it's interesting. In reading your book, I know how passionate you are about real estate investing, and I love that. I know you've had other careers and you've had ups and downs. And what I loved about your book is that you mentioned keeping it real. And that integrity is everything, and that's so important to me too. You know, so I love that. Tell me, I just want to know a little bit about, before we talk about your training, what is the mindset of today's investors? You have the pulse on these investors. What are they thinking?
Well, you know, I'll tell you this, and I don't know if I could give you the pulse on all the investors, but I could tell you this: the pulse on the successful investors are. Well, it's kind of like this. I believe if you do anything, you have to do it. You have to do it right. You have to be trained, right? And that's why I believe in training. I came from that background. I was trained. Look, there's an old saying that you're either going to pay your tuition out in the field or you're going to pay it in some sort of education, right? And maybe both at times too, because I actually paid both. But, you know, all the investors I work with, because I have thousands of students now that we work with, and so my finger is more on their pulse than anywhere. And, you know, we are we have a saying: it's safety, speed, and money. You have to be careful in real estate. Of course, you mentioned having some experience with my industry, and I'll be the first to say it, and I say it in my book. It's a black eye on my industry. I'm a product of it. I'm a student who went through a real estate training course and got a little bit taken advantage of. So, point to say that is yes, there's lots of money in real estate. It's created more wealth in this country than I can almost think anything, maybe besides tech and some things like that. It's just been the most consistent.
But you learned what not to do.
But you have to. I'll tell you what, the houses and the properties and the investments you pass on are usually the ones that you appreciate the most, because you have to be careful. You just can't go out there and shotgun it. Safety, speed, you got to go through a deal at the pace that you're expecting to go through it, and then you always got to really try to make money when you're in a deal.
And your new students, you know, they're looking to you for guidance and trust.
For sure.
And what I loved about your book is that you put people first, and that you care about the people. And in working with previous people, they just didn't care about others. They just cared about the money. And I come from a serving heart myself, and I know it's important to take care of your people. And if they're your students or your coworkers or whatever, it's just so important to make sure that they feel safe, because when we're buying and selling property, there's a lot involved here, and especially with rehabbing. Now, with you, tell me just what you've noticed since the 2007 meltdown. For me, my investors here in Orange County, the numbers don't work. They barely work. There's a few flippers that I work with and certain things, but sometimes your 1% rule is just not working here in Orange County.
Yeah, well, from my experience, and you've said it, it's like this. First let's say it like this. There are so many different strategies in investing in real estate. Now, if we talk the 1% rule, what you mentioned, which is a rule of thumb when you want to buy and hold a property, it's 1% of, as you know, I know you know, what the rent is to what you the
but our
purchase price
listeners,
is.
yes.
$100,000 property, you should at least get $1,000 in rent. Now, it's been that way for even quite a while. I mean, California is a hyper market, and the good spots in California have always struggled with the 1% rule for a long time. That's why it's, unless you're deep pocketed in California, it hasn't been a real cash flow market. Now, it is if you have a lot of money and you're positioning in some different ways, some commercial and stuff. But there's other cash flow markets that are around this nation, and those are the ones that I capitalized on. But now here in California, like you said, there are people flipping properties. There are pockets. That's what real estate is so... It's just targeted. There's just pockets. Like you can be here, and then within a couple miles, there's just some comps and some areas that don't work. And then after 6-8 months, that other area dries up, and you got to move out and out and out. And we teach, and you have to learn how to pinpoint that. Like,
and keep track of what's going on.
Keep track of it, and then you got to move around. It's like that, And
I saw you're going to Chicago next, which you're looking at, other markets. I recently came back from Nashville.
Yeah.
I have a friend who lives there, and she's rehabbing a house right now, but she had bought a little condo and 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's tripled in value now, right in the Gulch area of Nashville. And I thought, oh goodness, am I too late?
Right.
So are you focusing now? I was reading in your book that you're focusing now on training, and you've really kind of stepped away from actually finding the properties for people. Do you lead them to someone who can help them with that, or do you just give them the tools to succeed in what they want to do?
Sure. It's so cliche, but I teach people how to fish. I don't give them the fish.
Got it.
And it's for two reasons. One is because they have to survive without you. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Number two is this industry is known for trying to provide fish and make a lot of money while they're providing it, and I feel it's a conflict of interest. I feel it's an integrity issue. Right. It happened to me. I got taken advantage of. So I won't do that. I'm very focused on my long-term longevity of my business and my brand and my name, so I could raise literally millions upon millions of dollars from my students. I've never taken one red dime from red penny, right? Those are red.
Yes.
Dimes are silver.
Copper pennies.
But,
right.
So I haven't. There's no copper in them anymore, but still, I wouldn't take one. And I just don't do it. It's for my own protection. It's for theirs, because when you go through educational companies like this, the students have stars in their eyes for the people that are on stage.
Yes.
They really get suckered into just trusting too much. And I teach an old Ronald Reagan saying, which is trust but verify. And it's kind of my thing. So that is the reason I don't, because I think it's for their own good. Yeah,
I agree. And I've been to some real estate investment seminars.
Yeah, we talked about
where,
that.
They want to, to take me on the bus tour, and they want me to put my money with them because they're going to make a big percentage off my money.
Bet. Yeah.
And, there's a lot of hard money lenders out there. Why would I use you when I could use somebody else, or who knows what? And I think people just don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't take in even that, all those resources, I show them how to find them. I don't provide them with those things and then take a piece of it, of all the vendors that are working with me, because that's another way that guys like myself make a ton of money. I'm kind of taking the slow route there.
Yeah.
I don't work in the red. I work in the black. I have to. But I'm focused on this because I truly love it. I have a lot of real estate. I own numerous properties. I'm good. I still do buy properties for myself. I'm not actively flipping like I was. I tell my students that. I'm candid with them because my finger's kind of on this pulse. So.
Right. Well, that's cool. Well, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back and talk about some more stuff.
Anything you want to do? All right.
Do you want a free analysis of your inbound marketing? Do you want it in 30 seconds or less? Then check out Marketing Grader, the free marketing tool from HubSpot. It's simple. Just go to marketinggrader.com, enter the URL that you want to analyze, and Marketing Grader will instantly give you a detailed report grading your lead generation, mobile marketing, social media, competitive benchmarking, and more. It's simple, it's powerful, and it's free. marketinggrader.com.
When you use the Premier Rewards Gold Card from American Express, the rewards points can keep on multiplying. Buy 3 with triple points on airfare. Buy 2 with double points on gas and groceries. And a single point for pretty much every other dollar you spend on the card. Then, start choosing from over 1 million rewards to redeem all those points. Apply today, and the annual fee for the first year is on us. Call 1-800-AXP-GOLD or visit AXPGold.com. The annual fee for the card is $175. See terms, conditions, and restrictions at AXPGold.com.
All right, back to Rosanne.
We're here,
her guest,
and we're talking with Nick Verducci from Seven Figure Decisions. I love that title.
Yep.
There's a lot of things we talk about that in real estate, especially when we're dealing with those seven figures. So what I'd really like to know is, how have you overcome obstacles to get where you are today? I know you've started in law enforcement years ago.
Yes.
It says in your book. And
Right.
then you've come through almost, I call it a hell or a betrayal by some people you were very close with.
That's right, yep.
But you had developed your own models and systems and then felt like it was snatched out from under you.
Totally.
So I want to hear those stories.
Well,
Tell me about it. Your book is really good. I enjoyed it. So
I'm going to try to frame it the best way I can quickly, because I know we got a certain amount of time. So it's like this. You asked, how did I overcome? As you mentioned, I was in law enforcement. I was a police officer for almost 18 years. I did do that at a part-time level. I also started and ran a technology business, which I lost. And I didn't have anything. I didn't have money intelligence. And I was living too large. I didn't understand recessions. I was too young. Again, just didn't have that intelligence. And when the dot-com crash came and then we had 9/11, I lost everything. And that's the abridged version. There was a lot.
Sad.
Listen, I'm telling you, it's easy to go up, but it's hard to go down. You got two kids, one on the way, a wife, and you are millions of dollars in debt, and you got a K through 12 education. Scary times, right? So I got a call. I went to a 3-day real estate class. Yada yada. I made some big decisions. I call them seven-figure decisions. I made a decision to spend some money I didn't have out of the equity of my home, and along that path, I acquired a mentor. And that mentor taught me a couple things that were way more valuable to me than anything he taught me about the real estate business. He taught me all the systems and calculations and all the stuff we could talk about for hours, and it's very valuable because knowledge is power and all that. All true. But I had been wearing my identity in my sleeve, which was failure. And I was in a really tough spot, and it's just everything that came out of my system, my mouth, everything was that. And he sat me down and he said, "Nick, I got a couple questions for you." And he goes, "Can I be candid with you?" I said, "Yes." And he asked me a series of questions like are in my book. And he said, "Are you healthy? Are you this? Are you that? Do you have a family? Do you have kids? Do you have people who love you?" He went through this whole list, and everything was, weirdly yes. And the situation didn't feel that way.
Right.
And he said, "I'm just going to be honest with you. Shame on you, man." He goes, "I know it's tough. I'm not downplaying what you're going through.
Personal pity party.
But there are people laying on hospital beds that would trade with your situation right now and feel like they had $1 million in their pocket if they could, because they may not see tomorrow."
Understood.
And man, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and he taught me something called pattern interrupting. When you have a negative thought and fear, and most of us, a lot of people out there won't become successful. They can, but they won't because they're afraid to fail, and they're afraid of failure, and they're embarrassed. There's so many things that I'm fast forwarding through.
Yes.
But and he taught me how to deal with that. He taught me how to pattern a negative thought, a fear, and turn it into a positive. And it's a big commitment. It doesn't happen overnight. And teaching me the power of the strongest muscle that I have, which is my mind, and my will to succeed was everything to me. It got me through that time. He taught me how to invest one door at a time and just deal with it as everything came. And then I got myself out of my jam over a 10-year period, one door at a time, and I turned it around and
really
the whole
cool.
thing. And then, like you said, in my book, I have another downturn, and that is, I have a business partner and another business partner, and they basically, long story short, circumvented me. They took my cash flow business that I created and brought them into because they thought I would be expendable. And one of the worst things that ever but there's a long story to this.
I don't mean to laugh.
No,
I've
it's
read
funny.
it, and it's not funny reading through it. It really made me angry.
But listen, it does, and it was the worst time of my life, almost paralleling probably maybe in some personal ways of when I lost my tech business and lost financially everything. This was my identity was stripped from me, friendships, betrayal. And I'll tell you what, I had to revert back into that old strongest, your mind is your strongest muscle. And that's when it dawned on me that I needed to go into this space. But there's a long, because you read the book.
Right.
I'm giving you the abridged version that there's a lot of holes in it.
Yes.
But basically I reverted back to that. I had a lot coming after me while I was starting this business legally. One of my ex-partners is a real, son of a gun.
Yes.
And so I had a lot of pressure on me, and I wouldn't change any of it.
And what I got from the book was, your previous business partner was a bully,
Yeah.
And in the end, you learned more about his fear than your own. And you came through it, walked through it, persevered, and you fought back and said, wait a minute, I'm not going away this easily.
I had a
And
defining
I think
moment.
that was something I really admire in your story.
Yeah, I parallel it in the book as the Great Wizard of Oz. You know, like everyone's so in awe and afraid of the power of the Great
Yes.
Oz, and then when you pull back the curtain, he's just a tiny
Just
little
a
man,
guy,
right?
yeah.
And you know, that's really what it was, and it really was some defining moments. This book is a memoir. It's about my personal story of business, and it's about obviously 7-figure decisions and what it takes to win in business and all that. But what I do is I put in that personal story everything I believe it takes to be successful, whether it's in business or, you know, anything in life. And I think there's some common denominator principles that successful people have or will allow themselves to have, because I think we all have it, but some won't tap into it. And I put that in there because I believe in self-help. I do, and I believe that, but I don't believe checks are going to show up in the mail if you think positive.
Yes,
you got to work.
you can only
you got to
meditate
get off
for
your
so
you know
long.
what, and you got to
Right.
get to work, right?
Take
I just don't know if I could say that here, so I'm not going to. Okay, and you got to take action, and that's so cliche, but you do, and so I pepper the self-help concept, but with a vehicle. And that vehicle for financial success is real estate investing. So I tie real estate investing in with for sure your biggest asset, which is your power of your mind, with my personal story, and I blend that into this book. So it's something that you can read because, you know, all credit to self-help books, but you read them and it says take action, or it says do this, or it says do that. But what does that mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? What is that tied to? What is the author tying that to? Is it just because he read it? You know what I
Right.
mean? So I
Stories
lived it.
and the experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot. If someone who's looking to get into real estate investing, there's a lot of guys out there.
Oh, yeah.
And you and I both know who they are.
Oh, we do.
And there's a lot of them out there that have no integrity.
One's in the book.
And
I changed his name.
Yeah.
His name is Taco Montenegro.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
I
not his
love
real
that.
name, yeah.
And his sidekick Gino.
Yeah, Gino Fernando.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
when this sort of came through, I mean, it's something that if something doesn't kill us, it makes us stronger.
Yeah.
And you went through this process, but now you've got this book that's helping other people realize their potential. I love your real estate academy.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 different businesses where you're educating people.
2 different brands: the Real Estate NV Real Estate Academy and the National Real Estate Network.
And I think that's so cool because people have a resource to go to,
Yeah.
a trusted resource, someone they can trust to learn from.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're teaching them to fish.
Yeah.
And they have to go out and bait their pole now,
Yeah.
and figure it out. And so there were 4 key steps in your book that I loved about helping people realize their potential. I haven't finished it yet. I'm only at believe it right now.
Okay.
But see it, believe it, map it, and execute
That's
it.
right.
We have a few minutes left. If
Sure.
you could just kind of in a nutshell
Well,
tell me about that.
I put that together because I figure those 4 components, how I see it anyways, go together. And I think you have to have one, you can't have one without the other. And see it basically is like this. If you're going to go after something, starting a business, being successful, you name what it is, you fill in that blank. You are going to have to see where you're going. You are going to have to visualize what that looks like. I believe in that. I'm just an avid daydreamer. I am. I think out what I want to do, and I
Starting
see
with the
it.
parking spot right in front.
Everything.
That's
Yes, yeah, I
important.
do believe
I
I'm.
do
I
that
do,
too.
and so I see what my next venture is going to be. I really want to, and how I see it, not how anyone else will see it. And then after you get to that point where you really are kind of knowing what you're going after, so you have to believe it. If everyone around you believes it, but you don't really believe it in your head, you will not obtain it. That is my opinion. You have to figure out how to believe it, even if you have to fake it till you make it. If you have to surround yourself by mentors, other people that are going in that direction, self-talk yourself, pattern interrupt yourself, you have to believe it.
Stay away from
right?
negative people.
Then
move
after that,
forward.
you have to have a viable plan. You do have to have a system and a plan. I don't believe you can have see something and believe it. And I always use the example: I don't want to be, but if I wanted to be an NBA basketball player, it's not happening. I'm never dunking on anyone anytime soon. Won't happen. Doesn't matter how hard I try and how hard I work. So your plan has to be real. It has to be something you can do, and you have to have a structure to it so you can succeed when you see it, believe it. And now you're doing it when you're mapping it. Then last but not least, and without this step, it's all just a big, good plan and dream and nice concept. And it's so cliche to say take action, but you have to execute the first 3. If you don't execute it, you just have something to talk about, and you don't have anything else. So you have to see it, then you have to believe it, you have to, of course, map it and plan it, and then you have to execute it.
I think that's awesome,
Yeah.
and I think it's inspirational.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I really loved a couple things in your book. Do what you are good at, let others do the things that they are not, and that's good for me because I know what I'm strong at and what I'm not strong at.
That's right.
And I'll be the first to admit it
Have
because
to.
I think I've learned the hard way. No, I can't do everything, and why would I? And I know my brain starts to go crazy when I'm doing things I don't want to do.
That's
and
right.
I'm not happy about
And
it.
you won't be good at it. You stay in your lane and be a beast at it, and let the people that are good at that do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell me how people can reach you. You can get Seven-Figure Decisions on Amazon. I got it the other day.
Yep,
I
it's
love
spelled
it.
out S-E-V-E-N, not the letter.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
not the number.
And it came real quick, and I've completely enjoyed it. Forward from Kevin Harrington.
Yeah, from Shark
which
Tank.
is very cool.
Endorsed by Dean Cain.
Dean Cain, very cool.
Yeah.
And how can people reach you? Can they go to your website if they were looking to get involved in real estate
Sure,
investing?
sure.
Tell us how they can reach you.
Yeah, it's either nvrealestateacademy.com or the nationalrealestatenetwork.com. Both companies, both roads lead to me.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you can Google me.
And you're a hands-on guy. You work with all your people.
I do. I work with my students.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I do. Now, as you know how our business is structured, I'm not at every event. The events lead to me.
Right.
Because I have teams and events around the nation every week,
Can't be
every
everywhere
day,
all the
right?
time, right.
But that's why you have systems and you have teams
Right.
and that whole thing. And I'm the first one to say, without my people, I'm nothing. I'm the breath of this company, and it doesn't survive without me. But I need them, and that's something else that's in the book. Is you have to recognize that.
I think that's great, and that's what makes you so special.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in
Hey,
today.
thanks. It was good
Really
to meet you,
appreciate
Roseanne.
it.
Paul, thank you too.
Yeah, and my name's Rosanne Nitti. I'm with the Nitti Group. You can reach me at nittigroup.com, NITTI group.com. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great
Thanks.